And hello again, and here we are in my garage, and I've just finished spraying the tank with the red colour coat. It's taken quite a while to get to this point, a lot of work, and it's still not perfect, but that's partly because the tank's handmade and wasn't perfect to begin with. And so the next step is to use the 2K Spray Max lacquer on both the tank and the seat unit. But before I can do that, I need to add the decals on the tank. But I've hit a small problem, and it's this. This is the biggest decal I've got, and I think it's a little bit too small for the tank. Therefore, I've ordered a pair of bigger tank decals, and they should arrive tomorrow, at which point I can get them on the tank and then start lacquering it. Now, clearly working in a small garage like mine isn't ideal for spraying. And as you can see, in the background I've got the bikes covered up, and one more thing I did that I don't see mentioned very often is that I have dampened down the floor. When you're spraying, it's always a good idea, if possible, to wet the floor and anything else, because that damp floor will help to suppress any dust that might be kicked up. And now, as you can see, I've brought the tank and the seat unit indoors where it's warm and dry, so I can let this paintwork harden off, ready for the top coat. But I have been reading on the internet that there can be a problem with using a urethane-based top coat with this acrylic-based colour coat beneath. And that's because as this acrylic coat hardens, it gives off a gas, and the urethane top coat wouldn't allow that gas to escape. Now, there might not be much gas, but over time that gas could lead to bubbles forming beneath the top coat, which in turn could mean the top coat could delaminate, which isn't a good thing. And I have been reading lots of conflicting advice about how long you need to wait before this hardens off fully. Some say a day, some say a week, and some say up to a month. Now, I don't know what the correct answer to that is, but I think I'll wait at least a week before applying the top coat. And in the meantime, the paintwork can stay indoors where it's warm and cosy, and hopefully the paint will harden off just right. And now a few days have passed by, and these larger decals have just arrived, so I'm sticking them on the tank, and hopefully I've got this one in the correct place to match the one I just put on the other side. It's quite tricky to work out where it should go, but you can just do your best. So let's see, this will peel off now, and we've got a decent decal, so here goes. Dun, dun, dun. No, that's not quite right there, look. It's all a bit nerve-wracking to make sure this thing comes off okay. There are two choices when it comes to these decals. I could have gone for white and black or gold and black, and I went for the gold because I thought that's more kind of appropriate for a slightly classic retro look. I'm going for the white being a little bit more kind of modern, a bit more sort of racerish, but we'll see. So here goes, that's the eagle coming off. And by the way, these decals are handed left and right, so that the eagle is always pointing forward, just like that. Doesn't seem to be sticking too well. Let me move the camera a wee bit. It's in the way we're doing the work. I've just got to stick that down nice and tight. Let's try again. That's better. Just be gentle with it, and hopefully it'll peel back okay, and the deck will be fine. That looks like it's going okay. And there we go. Phew, that's something, I suppose. Now, the tank's not yet been lacquered, of course, and it won't be for a few more days because I want to let this gas off and harden fully before I try and lacquer it. And once that's done, assuming it all goes okay, I want to put the tank and the seat on the bike and kind of stand back and have a good look at it, because I do have a concern that maybe it's a little bit too plain. Perhaps this tank and seat unit need maybe some speed stripes, maybe a pinstripe here, maybe some kind of decals just down there. Who knows? It could just look a little bit too plain, as I say. So this tank can now go back in the corner in the house where it can stay nice and warm for a few more days before I try and lacquer it. And now here we are back in the garage, and I just finished using the first can of lacquer on the tank and the seat unit. And it doesn't look too bad, but I do have a few little hairs and bits of dust in that lacquer. So now I've got to wait 24 hours for this to harden off, At which point I can rub it back with some very fine wet and dry sandpaper and see those little dust specks and bits of hairs can be removed. And now here we are the next day, and I'm busily using 800 wet and dry sandpaper to smooth out the lacquer. It seems a bit of a shame because it does seem a bit of a shame because it ruins the finish, but needs must. And what I'm trying to do is remove any sort of little dust particles or hair that's in there, and also to flatten it back. It's quite orangey peely, so I'm going to get through all that and try and get it nice and smooth. It's quite difficult to see how far I've got and what I'm doing because it's all wet. So let's go and have a look at the seat unit, which I've already done, and see what difference it makes. So here's the seat unit, and it still needs a bit more work, and what I'm trying to do is remove this mottling, which is basically the orangey peel finish on the lacquer. Obviously it's all dull now, it looks terrible, and once I've got it all nice and smooth and got rid of all this mottling in the lacquer, it'll be time for the final and very important coat of lacquer. But right now it's far too cold to paint. It's a very cold, frosty morning, but maybe later on today it'll warm up, and then I can get that second and very important coat of lacquer on both the seat unit and the tank. But right now I've got a bit more work to do on this tank before it's ready to be re-lacquered. I'm only using 800 wet and dry, and it's a very slow process. I could use probably 600 or 400, but I'm really worried about breaking through this lacquer into the paint, so I want to take things nice and slow and easy, and if it takes longer then so be it. And now here we are in the afternoon. It's been a beautiful day here, very calm, quite sunny for the time of year, so I managed to bring the tank outside and the seat unit and spray them out on the drive. I've just given the tank and seat unit 2 more coats of lacquer, and I think that might just be enough. There's still a bit more lacquer left in the can, so I probably could get 1 more coat on the tank if need be. But for now I'm going to leave it out here in the sunshine and let it harden off for a couple of hours and hope that no insect comes along and lands on it in the meantime. So having finished the Guzzi, I had about a third of a can left of this Spray Max 2K lacquer, which at £17 a can I really didn't want to waste. Therefore I've used the rest of it on this seat unit here, which is from my drag bike. And when I built that bike a couple of years ago, this seat unit had to be widened by about 1 inch, so I had to cut it right down the middle and widen it and reinforce it with fiberglass and so on. And after that I gave it a very cheap and cheerful paint job. It was lacquered but very badly by yours truly, so I do recommend this Spray Max lacquer. It is good stuff. I would just add one little warning, and that is 2K lacquer is very, very dangerous indeed, and you have to wear suitable PPE equipment, i.e. a decent mask and gloves before you use it, as breathing in this stuff is not recommended whatsoever. It really is very, very dangerous, so please take precautions when you're using it. And so here we are at last, back in the garage. The tank and the seat unit are back on the bike. I would like to push it outside and get some shots, but it's a horrible cold wet day, so I think that can wait. Also the paintwork still needs to be cut back and polished, so it's not at its best just yet, but I think at the moment it's still looking pretty damn good. And here's a quick shot of the tank with its decal on there. As I say, for a paint job that came out of a spray can and cost no more than about £70, I'm pretty pleased with it so far. But now I'm going to wait about a week and leave this paint job to harden off fully before I cut it back and give it a final polish. And then hopefully we'll get a sunny day when I can roll it outside and get a few shots of it for you guys. And until then, thanks for watching and cheers.